Woods. Once upon a time, in a magical forest filled with tall, whispering trees and sparkling streams, there lived 3 bears. A great big papa bear, a middle-sized mama bear, and a teeny-tiny baby bear. And not far from their cozy little cottage lived a curious little girl named Goldilocks. There was great big papa bear, kind and gentle mama bear, and the most adorable little baby bear you ever did see. Good morning, family. I have made our porridge for breakfast. But oh, it is much too hot to eat right now. You are right, Papa Bear. Let us go for a walk in the forest while our porridge cools down. The fresh morning air will do us all good. Yay! A walk in the forest. Can we see the butterflies, Mama? Can we? Please, please, please. And so the 3 bears put on their coats and skipped happily into the deep green forest. Levin, there are 3 bowls of porridge sitting on the table to cool. Meanwhile, through the trees and over the babbling brook came a little girl with golden bouncy curls. Her name was Goldilocks. She was skipping through the forest all by herself when suddenly she spotted something between the trees. Oh my goodness! What a perfectly pretty little cottage! I wonder who lives there. Maybe I should just take a tiny little peek inside. Just a teeny tiny peek. It won't hurt anyone. Goldilocks knocked on the door. Once, twice, 3 times. But nobody answered. So, being the very curious little girl that she was, she pushed open the door and walked right inside. On the table, Goldilocks saw 3 bowls of porridge. Her tummy gave a big rumble. She was very hungry from all that skipping through the forest. Oh, porridge! My favorite. I'll just try a little spoonful. No one will mind. First, she tasted the porridge from the great big bowl. Ouch! This porridge is way too hot. It burned my tongue. So, she tasted the porridge from the medium-sized bowl. Blair, this porridge is way too cold. It's all lumpy and yucky. Then she tasted the porridge from the teeny-tiny bowl. This porridge is just right. It's warm and sweet and absolutely delicious. It was so perfect that Goldilocks ate it all up. Okay, every last drop. After finishing her lovely breakfast, Goldilocks looked around the cozy cottage and saw 3 chairs by the fireplace. A great big chair, a medium-sized chair, and a teeny-tiny little chair. I'm feeling a little full from that porridge. I think I'll sit down for a moment. First, she sat in the great big chair. This chair is way too hard. It feels like I'm sitting on a rock. So, she sat in the medium-sized chair. This chair is way too soft. I'm sinking right down and I can't get out. Then she sat in the teeny-tiny little chair. Ah, this chair is just right. It's so comfy and cozy. Goldilocks rocked back and forth, feeling very pleased with herself. But she rocked and rocked and rocked until ... crack. Teeny tiny chair broke into 100 little pieces, and Goldilocks tumbled right onto the floor. Oh dear. Well, I didn't mean to do that. All that porridge and rocking has made me feel very sleepy. I think I'll go upstairs and find a nice comfy bed for a little nap. Just a very quick one. Upstairs, Goldilocks found a bedroom with 3 beds, a great big bed, a medium-sized bed, and a teeny-tiny little bed. She yawned a great big yawn and decided to try them out. First, she lay down on the great big bed. This bed is way too hard. The pillow is like a giant stone. So, she lay down on the medium-sized bed. This bed is way too soft. The blankets are swallowing me whole. Then she lay down on the teeny-tiny little bed. Oh, this bed is just right. The pillow is so fluffy and the blanket is so warm. It's absolutely perfect. Goldilocks snuggled down under the covers, and in no time at all, she was fast asleep, dreaming sweet dreams. After their lovely walk, the 3 bears came back to their cottage, ready for their breakfast. They were happy and hungry. Oh, I can't wait to eat my porridge. I hope it's cool enough now. Oh, I'm so hungry I could eat a whole beehive full of honey. Me too, Papa Bear. Let's go inside. Bless. As soon as they stepped inside, Papa Bear stopped and looked around with a frown. In his big, booming voice, he growled, "Someone's been eating my porridge." Mama Bear looked at her bowl. In her gentle, medium-sized voice, she said, "Someone's been eating my porridge too." Then, Baby Bear looked at his empty bowl, and his little lip began to tremble. In his teeny tiny voice, he cried, "Someone's been eating my porridge, and they've eaten it all up." The three bears were very puzzled. They looked around their cozy little home. Then Papa Bear saw his chair. In his big, booming voice, he growled, "Someone's been sitting in my chair." Mama Bear looked at her chair and saw the cushion was all squashed. In her gentle, medium-sized voice, she said, "And someone's been sitting in my chair too." Then Baby Bear looked at his chair, which was now just a pile of little wooden pieces on the floor. He began to cry fat, sparkly tears. In his teeny tiny, wobbly voice, he wailed, "Someone's been sitting in my chair, and they've broken it all to bits." The three bears were now very concerned. Who could have come into their cottage? They decided to look upstairs. Quietly, they tiptoed up the stairs and into their bedroom. Papa Bear went to his bed. In his big, booming voice, he growled, "Someone's been sleeping in my bed." Mama Bear looked at her bed and saw the covers were all messed up. In her gentle, medium-sized voice, she said, "And someone's been sleeping in my bed too." Tit. Then Baby Bear tiptoed over to his bed. And there, under his little blue blanket, he saw a head of beautiful golden hair. He leaned in closer, his eyes wide with surprise. In a loud, teeny tiny whisper, he shouted, "Someone's been sleeping in my bed." And here she is. The noise woke Goldilocks up with a start. She opened her eyes and saw three bears staring down at her. Great big bear, a medium-sized bear, and a teeny tiny bear. She'd never been so scared in her whole life. She leaped out of the bed, jumped right out the open window, and ran away through the forest as fast as her legs could carry her. Goldilocks ran and ran and ran, and she never stopped until she was safe and sound back in her own home. From that day on, she never went wandering in the forest by herself again, and she certainly never went inside a cottage without being invited. And as for the three bears, they fixed the little chair, made some more porridge, and lived happily ever after in their cozy little cottage in the woods. And they never saw the little girl with the golden bouncy curls ever again.